Now, when you look at the authentic speaking map, from this perspective, we're adding now, expressives and feelings. We're really beginning to now evolve this conversation into the place that we've now gotten to the feeling level, right? You can't avoid that level because it's always there. Feelings are always a result of an interpretation. So from a speech act perspective, what are feelings? Feelings are technically expressives. They express a psychological state, and they're also used to express feelings and attitudes. So for example, gratitude. Thank you very much for doing that for me. I really appreciate it. Sorrow. I'm sorry that happened. I'm sorry that I wasn't sensitive to what you were telling me. Emotional states, saying like I feel sad, I feel happy, things of that nature. So these feelings or expressives are an important part of the entire authentic conversation because most people don't really express their feelings, right? And you're left to guess what they're feeling given the situation. And again, I think every interpretation generates an emotional state. A feeling arises. You may not be in touch with it because it may not be very intensive, but it's still going to be there. So given interpretations generate our emotions, like what are some of the primary feelings that people have? One is happiness, another is sadness, frustration, anger, fear, surprise. This is just a kind of a small list of stuff, where somebody is caught by surprise, for example, and automatically their adrenaline kind of kicks in. Or if somebody sees something, makes an interpretation on it, and their fear response kicks in. So these are kind of primary feelings, more or less. And feeling statements have a very specific grammatical form. Very short. I feel. I am angry. I feel fearful that this is not going to come out well. I'm sad. Okay. When you look at feelings and expressives, then you also have to recognize that when somebody is angry or fearful, it's going to show up somewhere in their body. It's going to show up someplace. Some people have it in the throat, some people have it in the chest, the stomach, your solar plexus, things of that nature. Now, why is it so important to distinguish feelings from interpretations? And that's the next thing I'm going to be talking about. Because you'd never want to challenge somebody's feelings. I mean, you don't want to say to somebody, you shouldn't feel that way. I mean, they feel what they feel. When you actually say you shouldn't feel that way, to a large extent, you're denying their experience. And people get upset with that. And I think you would get upset with that, I get upset with that. We experience what we experience. Don't tell me not to experience what I'm experiencing. But what people do say, and what you can interact with, especially in a coaching situation, or even in a leadership situation, they say, I feel, and what they're really saying is that they're really giving you interpretations. A lot of times in our language, and you can begin to start listening for this, people say, I feel that. Well, is I feel that a feeling statement? No, it's not. It's an interpretation. It's a thought. I feel like. It's a thought. I feel it. I feel as if. I feel John or Mary. I feel the instrument is not working. It's a noun. I feel he or she is not performing. These are all interpretations. And the reason, again, it's important to distinguish between a feeling and interpretation, I can interact with somebody's interpretation. If somebody says, I feel that Mary betrays me, my response would be, I see that you believe Mary betrayed you. In other words, I see that you've interpreted Mary's actions as a betrayal. Can you tell me specifically what Mary did to have you make the interpretation that she betrayed you? See how that works? It's really one of the most powerful interventions in a coaching conversation or a leadership conversation you can have. So if somebody comes in and says, I feel the project is going south or down the tubes, whatever expression they might use. Well, now they may be afraid, that may be their real feeling, but you as a leader would say, okay, I can see that you're making the interpretation that this project is not going per plan or in the direction you think is right. Can you tell me what's happening on the project that has you believe or come to the interpretation that the project is going south. Now you can engage in an open conversation, and you can also engage in an authentic conversation because you can begin to talk about a number of things that are going to come up later in the area of the wants, the possibilities, the opportunities, and the actions. In the next post, we'll cover the declaration of wants and how declaring your wants is so powerful and so meaningful in an authentic conversation. And it kind of begins to set the boundaries for resolving any issue that was established as the reason for having the conversation in the first place.